can I thank the regional group for bringing forward this motion on mobility and transport supports for people with disabilities. And to me, the calls made on Government and on you, Minister, in this motion are eminently reasonable and absolutely doable. The motion looks at specific barriers to mobility and transport that people with disabilities face in their everyday lives. This could be around accessing their work, their education, their health needs, their social lives. As I said, their day-to-day lives, just like the rest of us. Now, Minister, I listened to your contribution this morning and previously on this issue, and I believe you are determined to put in place a system that is equitable for people with disabilities. However, we are a year and a half into government, and only now is the Transport Working Group really beginning its work. Yes, I know you inherited a situation far from ideal, but that's your responsibility, and that's the situation we find ourselves in. Now, last year, the Ombudsman, Peter Tyndall, said that personal transport supports for people with disabilities are inadequate, unfair and inequitable. Now, that's an independent voice saying that, so we must listen and act. He spoke of the fact that his office, just like all of our offices, are receiving constant complaints about all of the mobility schemes, whether it's the motorised transport scheme now entering its 9th year of suspension, or the mobility allowance, or the disabled passenger and drivers and passenger scheme. He spoke about all of those. And Minister, as signatories to the UNCRPD, we have the responsibility to provide access to transport on an equal basis to persons with disability, so that they too can live independent lives and participate fully in all aspects of life. For any of us, Minister, life is not a dress rehearsal. It's today, it's now, and it's the very same for people with disabilities. They want to live their lives every day just like the rest of us, but because their mobility is seriously compromised and their access to either transport or mobility grants or assistance is also severely compromised, or in some cases non-existent, they are literally left waiting in the wings while the rest of us get on with our lives. Time is of the essence, Minister. We need a sense of urgency and immediacy on this matter. Minister, just recently, last week in fact, I read the final report from Indicon on the cost of disability in Ireland. And one of the findings of that report that struck me very forcibly was that the costs relating to transport and mobility were so significant for people. For example, the average extra yearly living costs due to disability that persons with disability could not afford, and that's the crucial point, they could not afford under the heading transport, is over €3,000 per year, while the survey showed that the highest costs incurred by people with disabilities were around access to adequate housing. The second highest was around trying to access transport and mobility support. So, Minister, we have the Ombudsman as far back as 2012, Emily O'Reilly, telling us that the motorised transport grant was not fit for purpose. We've had many interventions from the Ombudsman's office in the intervening years. We've had report after report, culminating in the cost of disability report last November. But people with disabilities are still waiting. And that's literally the situation. They're waiting while the rest of us move on, get on with our lives, literally fly by them. And I think, Minister, it's your responsibility to fundamentally change that situation.